Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan?
I will do what I must.
Then you will die.
Welcome back. Today we're going to be having a look at the just released beta patch. That's the 3.12.2 beta patch, which addresses a number of bugs and is also meant to fix the medium ship firing range and a medium range for strike craft as well. So I've done a bit of combat testing and there may be a slight improvement, but overall I'm not sure it fixes the overall problem. So we're going to dive in and do some testing. Now, just for testing purposes, this is a new game. I started a whole new game and designed all new ship designs. So this is a completely different game and ship designs from what the previous test was, that my video on ship combat is broken. So just so we know, for testing purposes, so we've got our same cruiser that we started off with yesterday. We've devastator torpedoes, missiles, torpedo combat computer, and everything else is the same: armor, shields, afterburners. Versus our battleships, same design again, focused archimeters, artillery combat computer, and the same design overall. And we have our Corvettes, which is the same again, point defense, disruptors. They're using swarm combat computers. Let's see how this battle pans out, if there's any improvements. So missiles away, the closing torpedoes, it looks like torpedoes are away. You can see there, torpedoes have fired. Looks like the cruisers have bypassed a lot of Corvettes, actually gone through, actually going after the battleships, which is a slight improvement. That's what they should do. The torpedoes should prioritize the larger targets, so that seems to be occurring. They have done a fair bit of damage to the armor there. We have lost a few ships. They are their disruptors, or the missiles are focusing the Corvettes by the look of it. Some of the torpedoes are still firing. Some of the ships are still getting into range. They seem to be a bit closer than the previous battles. Looks like they're having a hard time getting through the Corvettes though. Corvettes are still flying around, firing off their disruptors. They are picking targets and going for them, which is a slight improvement as well. You can see if you move your torpedoes there. It's just they're not staying close enough overall. Maybe it's once the torpedoes have reloaded, they close in, and then... I think that was the retreated fleet then. Yeah. So it seemed to be a slight improvement, but overall, you can see the fleet has taken more losses. We got down to about 9 battleships in the previous testing, and actually about the same number of Corvettes. It was right, the same number of Corvettes, 47. So the pattern seemed to be that once the torpedoes had reloaded and were ready to fire again, some of the cruisers would get into weapons range and fire on the battleships. They weren't firing their torpedoes on the Corvettes that I could see. They were just firing their missiles constantly at the Corvettes. So a slight improvement there, but still I would like to see this fleet stay in range of the battleships and constantly fire on them with the torpedoes. But they keep bouncing between the two at the moment, but a small improvement, I would say, overall in this fight. Let's try the next battle. So this battle, it's exactly the same setup as last time, except we've swapped the missiles out for disruptors to see how that will go, see if they'll close in closer range and maybe do more damage to the battleships and stay a bit closer to the battleships to constantly damage them, versus our same fleet of battleships, no changes whatsoever, and Corvettes, no changes whatsoever. So they should be, Corvettes should be a slight disadvantage because they haven't got the 3 disruptors. They've still got the point defense there, and there are no missiles in this, so it's not optimized to fight this disruptor fleet, but we'll see how the battle pans out.
We're under attack. Time to dance.
I could say time to dance. I like the new music. So they're having a big melee here of the Corvettes. Corvettes are taking significant losses. Haven't got through to the battleships yet. Looks like they're trying to move closer. Still fighting the Corvettes at the moment, the last of them. Okay, there you go, freeze there. They have closed in close enough to fire on the battleships there. So that's an improvement. But it'd be a lot better if they were a bit closer. So the whole fleet was constantly firing, because disruptors can fire rapid fire. Yeah, so still not closing distance enough. There it's just a few more firings, but not a lot. Yeah, they should be at really close range and is constantly firing on those battleships. And it's not like the battleships are really split up either. It's not like there's a group of battleships over here. They're all sort of on one side. So this cruiser fleet should be pushing in here and engaging most of those battleships, but it's not happening. So you can't blame the fleets being all split up everywhere, confusing them, because that's not the case. Okay, they fully retreated. And how much damage did they take, actually? They lost 25 cruisers versus no battleships. 34 Corvettes were destroyed. To repair that was 7,600 alloys. It's still in retreat, but yeah, imagine that's going to be significantly more expensive, considering the whole fleet costs 35,000 alloys. So that's going to be about at least 20,000 alloys. Alright, some very small improvement with the disruptors. They fired a few shots off. They got a little bit closer, but not close enough. So not a huge improvement when using disruptors instead of missiles. Now we'll try the ambush setup, see how that improves things. So we've got our same cruisers we used last time. Devastator torpedoes, disruptor to a nice close range firepower. At this range, these Devastator torps should eviscerate those battleships. They should be doing multiplicative damage up to, I think it's 700% against a battleship. So it should be doing like, what's that, about 13 to 1500 damage easy. And then you've got your disruptors as well that'll be constantly firing on them. It's torpedo combat computers as well. So you've got explosive damage bonus. Versus our battleships, same design, and our Corvettes with the disruptors and missiles. So once again, should be at a disadvantage because they've got the point defense there. And it is swarm combat computers as well still. So let's find out how this battle goes. So they charge in, they launch their torpedoes at the battleships. We did lose 3 battleships there straight off the bat. We have lost a few Corvettes, and you can see the disruptors are focusing the battleships because they're actually close enough to do so. Let's see how the battle continues. Alright, let's freeze here. Our Corvettes seem to have the same problem now as what the cruisers have had. They've moved away, and they're not engaging the cruisers, where the cruisers are sticking with the battleships this time because the Corvettes aren't there to interfere with them. Now looks like some of the Corvettes are moving, and they sort of can't decide who they're going to engage. They've actually fired torpedoes at the Corvettes. That was a waste. But overall, they've only lost 2 cruisers so far. A bunch have retreated. Some more torpedoes are off, so they are staying a bit closer range than our previous testing. They can't decide whether to kill the Corvettes, which the Corvettes are nearly done anyway. If they stayed there a couple more seconds, they would have killed them all, and then they could focus the battleships. But they just can't decide to charge the battleships for long enough to get in the range. A few torpedoes going in. So they are getting a few shots off compared to the previous testing, but they're just not getting in fast enough. So now they're just sort of sitting between the two, just peppering away. It should be close enough to get a few shots off. They're just getting hammered though by the long-range weaponry. Still firing at the Corvettes. They'll probably waste their torpedoes on the last ones, will they? Yeah, there they go. How predictable. If they would just close the range in the battleships, they should win this fight, no problems. We did take significant losses though. More losses than our previous battles, but you can see there it's still not working as it should be. That battle, that ambush fleet with those Devastator torpedoes should absolutely obliterate these guys. Stay in close to the battleships, get 2 volleys of torps off, and that's pretty much, that'd be a majority of the battleship fleet done. That's what they should be doing. And if those, part of the problem as well was those Corvettes splitting, staying over here. If they stayed around the battleships, then the cruisers would have no choice but to stay around this fight as well. And the disruptors would eviscerate the Corvettes, and their torpedoes would take out the battleships. So that's what should be happening. Still some work to do there, Paradox. So in this test, we've got our missile cruisers. I was asked to do this by one of the commentators, and I've put all swarm of missiles in here, some small missiles here, standard loadout of armor, shields, afterburners. We're using artillery combat computers. It'll just be good to see how the artillery combat computer goes against another artillery combat computer. And we've got our same fleet here of battleships with no changes whatsoever, with our Corvettes. So we do have a bit of PD defense here that should shoot down some of those missiles. That should help against this type of fleet. The only other option you could do as well is swap out these missiles for some disruptors to try and deal with the Corvettes a little bit more effectively. But let's see how the battle turns out.
Our station is in the crosshairs. We're under attack. Time to dance.
Time to dance, I like it. So you can see all the missiles going away. They seem to be targeting the battleships, the swarm of missiles. We haven't lost any, one battleship now. Still losing quite a few cruisers. The missiles just aren't doing enough damage. You can see the PD firing all the way in here as well. It's probably killing a lot of those level 5 missiles. Probably why they're not getting through to the Corvettes actually. That's 3 battleships. You can see that PD is really hurting. That's it. 3 battleships, 1 Corvette lost. So, yeah, I wouldn't use missiles against a fleet with battleships, X-Lot weapons, and have also a screening fleet of Corvettes using PD. So it's not a very effective setup. But the main thing was to see how the combat computers worked. You can see how when you have both artillery, they both stay at range within their firing ranges and both fire away at each other. Because we had a mix of weapons there, swarm of missiles, artillery, the X-Lot weapons, and we also had the Corvettes. And you notice they did not fly away and go to their own little pocket and stay out of range. They did what they did do. They meant to do swarm the target, use their disruptors and PD to screen the battleships, and that worked very effectively. So it seems artillery seems to work very good against each other. So we can see there's still some work Paradox has to do over these tests. That's very small improvement, I must say. It hasn't really fixed this problem. It may have fixed other problems where ships weren't going to their median range, as it's been previously reported, but it hasn't really fixed this issue of, we've seen it with Corvettes going off by themselves. The cruisers sort of just go off by themselves. They don't get into close enough range to use all of their weapons continually. So yeah, it's still needs some work, Paradox. We need to solve this problem. Alright guys, if you like this video, hit the like button for me, subscribe to the channel, help me with the algorithm, and I'll be making plenty more videos on fleet combat over the coming days and weeks. So it's bye for now. Thanks for watching.